DreamHack Astro Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, Intel, and Lenovo Legion.
Welcome back to the final day of the DreamHack Astro Open Montreal. We started with 8 teams. We are now condensing it down to the 4 best here on site. The 8 teams coming in with tons of dreams, hopes, and ambitions, and now only one will walk away, your champion of the DreamHack Astro Open in Montreal. My name is Stunna, and I'm here on the desk with some of my friends, but without further ado, I do believe today is the day that we are all looking forward to. Before we get into that, let's just go ahead and give a quick shout out to the people that do make this happen. Let's go ahead and shout out ASTRO, Monster Energy, Zowie, Corsair, Intel, and Lenovo. And actually, I want to shout out these guys too, Pimp and Hazed. What's up, guys?
It's gonna be great today. It's gonna be great.
Fantastic. Look at the enthusiasm. I love it.
I'm enjoying myself. I can't wait to see 2 NA teams just go to the finals and then just all NA final and NA wins. This is NA. It's a great day, you know.
It's just NA greatness, NA awesome. Well, nonetheless, no, relax. Let's take a quick recap, quick look at how these teams got to where they are today.
Johnny Boy has to commit to this. There's barely no time. There's a player close towards Graffiti. He spots them. What? He's running with his knife and he's trying to deny the plan. It's successful. I love to see CT aggression, but when you just get punished like that, but Android spins around and he gets the 4th Android.
He said the plant money considered, so 4 of those AKs come back in. And Peter, what?
Was that the wall?
That was through the wall, I'm pretty sure. Beautiful shot from Peter, and it's there for the trade, but still another 1v2 to win out here for him. And it's in a very, very difficult spot. Ooh, he just gets wrecked by Johnny Boy. Well, Trade taking down Yell right after that one with PKL also into the fight. He's able to find Clemmy. Down goes Peter. Now it's advantage to Luminosity, and it's going to continue to grow. He was getting ready to pop off Pop Flash too, but on a repeat finds Kudahen, sees the others pushing closer on a long out. Flash assistance comes in, so now he can swing towards Bathrooms, has more of an angle to play off of.
Well, because they can post up, hold the angle, and with an op, that's still effective. It's down to Rush. First shot found. Here's the second jumping, takes out Jello as well. One-on-one, Yell's got to get close. Gonna jump with the AWP. Rush just holds and waits for the shadow. It's match point Cloud9.
Right, the DreamHack Astro Open Montreal has been an incredible weekend full of some of the most top-notch Counter-Strike I believe we could have bargained for. In your eyes, guys, what sticks out the most?
I think the first game we saw of the tournament, Gale Force against North, was one of the outliers. Like impressive showing from Gale Force. I think everyone expected them to pretty much do nothing at this tournament. It was their first experience ever here, but they put North up to a good fight and took them 14 rounds into the game, you know. So that was pretty impressive.
And I mean, just talking at breakfast this morning with the coach of Gale Force, he was really happy of his team. He was really proud. He said that, you know, they came out here and they didn't have super high expectations. They didn't expect to win the tournament, but he was really pleased with how it had turned out, how it had transpired. But speaking of which, let's take a look at how these brackets and these groups break down. Go ahead and walk us through it, Hazed.
Yeah, so Group A was definitely the closer of the groups. Surprisingly so, I think. North and Gale Force, as Jacob just mentioned, was really close and had actually a good chance of winning that game thanks to Grishado's nice 1v3 D clutch. And then CLG King was just a one-sided affair. Wasn't anything special there. And then Kingwin North, 16-11. I think Kingwin was super strong on day 1, as shown in the scores from day 1. Didn't quite show up in day 2, and then CLG 2-0 Gale Force, and it wasn't even a contest. And then we see nice Group B, much closer.
Yeah, we started out to see the favorites, home favorites, if you can say so. Cloud9 winning 16-5 against Complexity. Not much to say about it. Same goes on for Immortals Luminosity. That was a pretty one-sided affair. Both moved into the winner game, and we saw again a one-sided affair. The first half, at least, Immortals going up 13-2. Then Cloud9 took it back 13 rounds, but Immortals eventually closed it out and went to proceed as the first group in the team. We saw Complexity play Luminosity in the loser bracket game. We claimed it as like the best of the rest game, and it turned out to be Luminosity. Then again, Luminosity against Cloud9. We saw it as the last game yesterday. They didn't really stand a chance against Cloud9, and we see, therefore, these 4 teams in the bracket.
We got 4 teams. We got 2 semifinals, 1 grand final today, all of best of 3. And to be quite blunt with it, I don't think that there's any surprise with these teams being here.
Absolutely not. I think this is what we expected. Immortals and North on opposite sides of the bracket, both going through winners. I think it's set up to have 2 very good games. Obviously, I think the North C9 one will be the most action-packed game that we have right now. Obviously, the finals will be insane. But as far as CLG and, Immortals, I'm not sure what CLG we're going to see today. We saw day 1 CLG, totally different from the day 2 CLG. So I want to see who shows up today for them.
Which is seemingly the big problem there is consistency. But nonetheless, our first semifinal of the day will be Counterlogic Gaming versus the Immortals. And before we get into that, let's take a quick look at how they got here.
So we just came back from Malmo, and it was like an okay tournament for us. We went to the playoffs, and after the tournament, we did a great change in our team because we changed our in-game leader. Right now it's me, and I'm having like a tough time to adapt again because it's a little bit hard when you are calling and playing at the same time.
Cloud9 still in really full control, but look at this, Hetty working back in. He's able to get that 1 kill against Automatic. I would have thought they would have had someone paying attention to this fight, but not the case. Bolts moves in, shuts down Skadoodle, and all of a sudden out of
I think we're going to keep our mentality going into the semifinal pretty similar. We're definitely not going to like overdo or overstep the amount we need to study the other team. We're going to try to just study them a decent amount, but for the most part, that information is going to go to me. And the rest of the players, I kind of want them to focus on their own game, so whatever I need to tell them, I'll tell them, and just keep the same game plan.
He should be able to get up to the site. Just maybe shut them down. They're paying attention to it, though, but he lines the first one in. Ooh! As FNS pulls off a great clutch.
Our expectations to this tournament is to end up as a champion. I know it's going to be tough because DreamHack is always tough to play. We have Cloud9, we have North, we have top-tier teams playing this tournament. But our expectation is sure to be the champion.
We went in obviously thinking we were going to win, like we want to win. That being said, you have to work hard to win, and in the last 7 or 8 days, the preparation that we put in was like a 7 or 8 day boot camp. And we literally played 8 to 12 hours a day of CS, whether it be like individual practice, scrims, dry runs, and servers, demo time, all that stuff combined, and we just, hopefully it shows.
Now, 7 or 8 days of boot camping and preparation going into this one from the Counterlogic Gaming side. We're going to see if that does pay off. But before we even get into the nitty-gritty, I'm going to invite all the viewers at home to go ahead and join in on the competition with us by voting for your favorite teams using !IMM or !CLG in the Twitch chat, of course. Now, we will be showing those results closer to the time of Live on 3, but as it stands right now, we're going to take a look at the teams that are getting set up and getting prepared on the stage with us. And the first team that we're going to look at is going to be the Immortals.
Yeah, and surprisingly for me, looking at the stats, I did not notice, I guess, I don't know if you did, Jacob, but Henny has had an amazing tournament. He's tied right now with Bolts as the overall leader stat-wise for the tournament. You know, I'd seen Bolts playing really well. I'd seen KNG actually having some really good performances, but Henny didn't stick out to me. Did he to you?
A little bit, but he's like working in the shadows of KNG right now, I feel, because there's a lot of focus towards this new guy. He came out of nowhere and he like kind of took over Henny's position as this like star upper on this team, you know. So he might work a little bit in the shadows, but as you said, it's good to see that he puts up the numbers, and he has been playing some great games the first day.
And just a spectacular story overall. I mean, looking at KNG, I feel a lot of people might not have even known who he was going before he joined the Immortals lineup, obviously coming from Red Reserve. But now this guy, you know, he's doing it big. He's doing it huge.
I'm one of those players. I mean, when they picked him up, I go, you know, I always question it because I don't see them play. Obviously, they watch each other play in their home country. You know, SK went back home a while back to compete actually in a tournament in Brazil, just, you know, to have fun. And so they know these players, but I always, you know, I'm in the dark about them. So I'm like, is this guy really the real deal or not? And I did the same thing with Coldzera. Oh my goodness, that guy ended up being a monster.
So you're saying your sleeper picks are some of the best players in the world. Noted, because, you know, I'll take note of that and maybe know that later on, something like that. Anyway, let's take a look at some of your friends over there at Counterlogic Gaming, Hayes.
Well, I mean, Cut's been the overall leader for CLG, and working in the shadows, as Jacob said earlier, that's Cutler's role. It's always been his role, but I think they're moving him more to the forefront, as Ryu said in our interview the other day.
Yeah, I mean, all the players from CLG have had their moments, and all the players from CLG have gone missing. You know, the first day was horrible for them. So it's as James said in the pre-show, like it depends on which CLG turns up today. You know, the preparation have been okay. They talked about a 7 to 8 days boot camp. That's a long time, and not a lot of teams from NA have been there in that time of period. You know? So it's been practice against some less skilled teams and against some NA teams. And I know firsthand how that can be. You know, that's frustrating from time to time because there's not a lot of depth in that scene in terms of practice. So we're gonna see how much that actually paid off going up against the Immortals, which is a superior team on pretty much all fronts.
You also kind of have to keep in mind, you know, they bring Ryu in, and you think when you implement a coach into a team, there's some sort of like going to the drawing board and kind of restructuring, hey, where are our big flaws? And a lot of that's on the coach to sit there and say, hey, this is where you guys are falling apart. This is where, you know, A is not meeting B and onward to C and D. But from the looks of it, from day 1 to day 2, CLG looking like a completely different team.
Yeah, and I think the talk that they had after day 1 really set people straight, and we saw Kusta and Rikke come alive on day 2, and their strength, obviously we all know, is the double op, and they need to perform, and if they can come out swinging today, maybe they have a chance. I think Immortals is just a better team, but who knows?
Who knows? We will find out in due time. The first ban maps are in. Again, this is a best of 3 series, and we will see Cobble and Nuke as your first bans. Now, is that a surprising ban from either side, guys?
Not a surprise, I'd say. They got pretty much similar map pools, I'd say. I would be surprised if we don't see Cash or Train in there. Both teams like to play them, and both teams have played them at this tournament and performed great. Train, there you go for CLG. That's not a bad pick for them, but it's not a bad pick for Immortals either. So that could be dangerous, especially as we talked about the double op setup. These are basically 2 teams that both have double op setups. CLG with Kusta and Rikke, and then you go to Immortals with Henny and KNG. You know, so we're gonna see who prevails of those 2.
Yeah, and Inferno here picked by Immortals. That's a map I think is just flat out Immortals. I don't see how CLG can win that map. I don't think they're that great on it. It's not really in their wheelhouse. And a ban on Mirage from CLG, that actually surprises me.
That's showing respect to Immortals, you know, because they're a great Mirage team, Immortals, and they have the fundamentals set very straight, I'd say, on Mirage. We even saw that Malmö, where they took North to overtime game in the quarterfinal, you know. So I think that's showing respect to Immortals and knowing that they're great on Mirage. So we're not gonna take that chance.
I think it's too much respect, to be honest.
Could be.
Now, one thing to note. Okay, so there we have it. We have our maps. It's going to be Train, Inferno, and Overpass. One thing to certainly note would be Kusta coming alive yesterday, playing with confidence and a different poise than day 1. I believe a dismal stat line on day 1, but the starch comparison compared to day 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always said Scrim Kusta is the best Kusta. If you get a Scrim Kusta in a match server, he is unstoppable sometimes. And SK actually told me that at CS Summit. Coldzera sat down next to me and goes, Kusta's the best player in the world. And I'm like, what? Something happened.
So is that not scary, though? I mean, think about just how many players there are that don't always have that confidence, but have that raw, natural fragability or that skill that may not always get showcased because they can't play.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think it comes down to the mentality of Kusta. It's like, you got to work on that, you know, because we talked about it yesterday as well. He's so skilled and he's so good. So we need to see something from him in these big games against Henny and whoever else he's going up against.
Well, let's take a look at something that I know you guys have been weighing in your minds all night long, and that's your predictions. Because you only get one shot at this. You don't want to miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
No, you do not do that again. And you go first this time.
I go first this time. Okay.
You're on the spot.
I'm gonna go against the real NA in that sense. I think Immortals is gonna win this game, especially looking at the maps. I think it's gonna be 2-0 for Immortals. I think there's potential for a close overpass game. We saw CLG play pretty well against Gale Force yesterday on it. So maybe if they can pull it to a third map, then there's a chance. But I think Immortals is gonna close it down 2-0.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be in the same boat, actually. I'm not really having a lot of faith in the map pool right now that CLG chose. I think if CLG is going to have a chance, they really got to shut down those 4 spies once they get an early lead. If they allow Immortals to break their money and control CLG's money, they can't get a double op online. There's no chance for them. But I just don't like these maps for CLG. I got Immortals.
I'm going to have to side with the rather simplistic look here that Immortals were swimming in the pool last night at about 11:30.
Ooh, putting them on blast.
No, I'm not putting them on blast. I mean, that's a way to stay refreshed. Maybe they were going over strats, demos, and then, hey, you know what, guys? We need a refresher. Let's go take a swim. But also just a little NA bias regardless. So I'm going to go with CLG 2-1. I'm going to give them that. I believe in you guys. I think you could do it. Not that that makes a hill of beans. But let's go ahead and introduce our commentators at this time. We have Blue and Seaside who are hanging out with us somewhere around here. I don't know exactly where they are.
Hello? Hello.
What's up, guys? Who are we feeling in this matchup?
Immortals.
All right, sick.
Pretty straightforward.
To the point.
I'm going to go Immortals, too. The maps are just too good for Immortals right now. I think they're even playing fields, but when you're going up against a better team, an even playing field always favors them. So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they do have like some natural skill there. Maybe, is it too late to bring one? Oh, no. All right, go ahead and take it, guys. Take it from here.
All right, thank you very much, Tana. It is almost time to start the final day here from the DreamHack ASTRO Open live from Atlanta as we get ready to jump into our first map.